This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
And wanted to let you guys all know that our fine sponsor at the DSP Network and sponsor of Two Bad Hombres is the Legacy Football Organization. And the Legacy Football Organization was founded in 2009. It is the premier off-season development program in the state of Michigan, in the Midwest, and in the entire U.S. of A. It provides unique platforms for student athletes on and off the football field through community service, social awareness, education, and football. And it features a staff of many prominent former collegiate stars and NFL players, including legendary Lions wide receiver Herman Moore, and a past guest of Two Bad Hombres, and a former three-time All-American linebacker at Doc's University, Michigan State University, and that is Greg Jones. So to find out more about Legacy Football and all of the events they are hosting at the Legacy Center Complex in lovely Brighton, Michigan, please contact National Director of Football Ops, Justin Sasante, or go online to Legacy's terrific website at legacyfootballorg.com.
I was trying to get it out here. I want them dead presidents. I want to pull up, head spin. Get it, get flat. I got 6 jobs. I don't get tired. I don't get tired. I don't get tired. Get it, get flat. I got 6.
And we are still not tired on this week's episode of Two Bad Hombres. I am your host, Vito Geronimo Church, alongside my usual sidekick and broadcast partner in fun. That is Doc from Doc and Jack, John Charles Macaroon. John, how are you doing?
Vito, tonight's the night, brother. We celebrate my 40th birthday.
Look at you, the big 40. Lordy, look who's 40.
I'm looking forward to celebrating with you, other guys from the podcast, friends, and family. We are going over to Tap and Barrel Grill. We're going to have a good time over there in Shelby Township. Now, are you going to be able to, I have to check now because me and Nick had a conversation about your drinking habits.
Nick who? Who are you talking about, Nick?
Listen, I want to say this. Are you going to be able to hold down your liquor, okay? Because I'm not picking your ass up off the floor and dragging your ass anywhere, okay?
Well, you don't have to. Now, you would love to, though. Or, no, not on your 40th birthday, but you could pick me up. You're a strong man. Come on. A man of your strength and height and stature. Come on, you could do it, right? You could pull it off with all your bulk and strength. You're working out now.
Are you looking forward to this evening? Are you looking forward to a fun night?
It should be fun, man. I mean, you're expecting a good amount of people, right? 30 people, I think your wife had told me. When she invited me personally, Andrea did. So it was a pleasant invite and surprise of mine to get an invite to your 40th birthday. But I guess I was worthy of the invite, huh? In so many words at the same time.
Of course, Vito. Obviously.
And thank you. Tell her thanks. I did thank her already, but I'll thank her again here on these airwaves on Two Bad Hombres.
Unlike you, I do know how to throw out an invite for things that are important. You know,
to people that are in the studio working alongside you, unlike me when I don't invite you to things that I do on the weekends, right?
No, all kidding aside, it's a fun time, man. We're going to have a good time. So I want to ask you, going into a night like that, what would make for a fun night? For a guy now my age, I've turned 40, and I'm going to tell you, it does feel different. I did videotape the last minute of my 30s, and it was a weird feeling because I kind of had this sense, and for those that know me, I'm kind of a non-real serious kind of guy. I like to tell jokes, have real sarcastic nature. But that moment when you hit 40, I'm like, you know what? I kind of feel a little bit more mature. And immediately my first workout after, my knee hurt. My left knee hurt. I'm like, oh,
you're done.
God.
He's out. He's done working out.
I told Andrea, I'm like, man, I feel different. And it's a different feeling. And I was like, man, the perfect age, if you could pick one age to live forever, for me, it would be 39. I felt like it was a great year. But now I sit here, 40 years old, and it's a different feeling for sure. So what would be a fun experience? Because, my wife's like, are you going to, drink a lot? I'm like, you know what? I just want to have a good time. The drinks will be flowing. It'll be a fun, entertaining experience. But I'm not going to go too far with it. I'm not going to be like dancing on the tables or anything. But I want to have a good time. I want all the people that are there to have a good time, drink it up, dance it up, and I just want everybody to have a good time. What are you looking forward to?
So you're saying you're not going balls to the wall?
I might, but if you buy me drinks, I might consider.
Also, it's not me to spend for the drinks to make it happen.
That's what you're supposed to do.
You don't just keep drinking.
Birthday.
You should keep drinking, man, until you drop. I mean, who's watching your kids? Your kids are at home, right? Throughout the night?
Will be watched by a babysitter. I think all 5 of my mom's grandkids will be watched by a babysitter. So we got everything taken care of.
Good.
We're probably going to Uber it home because, obviously we're not going to drink a lot, but we're going to be drinking a little bit, so we're not driving home. And so I'm looking forward to a fun evening with the crew and everybody involved. So I'm just wondering now, like I said, for you, what makes for a good night? Because obviously I see your social media, I see your friends, what they're posting and taking pictures of you doing. I'm like, holy cow, I can't go that hard. I'm not going to be laid out. But what would be a fun night for you? What would you say would make an evening where you go, okay, John's 40th birthday was pretty cool?
Let me dispute something really quick to you regarding that photo. You're referencing a photo where you said laid out. sleeping on the ground from being sleepy. Okay, it was 2 a.m., almost 3. Not because of drinking. I don't drink alcohol. I won't be drinking anything, okay of an alcoholic beverage tonight for your birthday. So that won't be happening. Not for me. I don't do that. But anyways, what would be a fun night? What would constitute a fun night for me? At Tap and Barrel Grill, right, from Matt Aubrey, the owner of that lovely establishment there at Tap and Barrel Grill. So he does a great job as owner of the place, and we'll be there. And for me, what constitutes a fun night? I would say a couple of drinks inside of me. I don't need the dancing, but some good music and some good conversation, and probably making fun of you, too, at your expense. I mean, I want to make sure I get into some wisecracks and whatnot and kind of make fun of you and what you're like. You're behind the scenes, you know, doing the podcast with me, and I gotta get in a couple of wisecracks. So if I do, I think I'll be having a good time and living it up. And now, who else is coming from the podcast network, by the way? We have Adam, right?
I'm not sure if he's coming because he just had an epic trip to Brazil and he's been under the weather, so I'm not sure he's going to want to come out, but he's invited. I got to talk to Jason, and I think that's it at this point in time.
So nobody else on the podcast network. Nobody else gets
Everyone's
the invite from the big DOC.
Really,
you wouldn't even reach out to them to invite them.
I probably should, but it's been...
To be nice. It's your big 4-0 milestone birthday and no invites to all these other dudes that put in all this time and effort for you and the success.
One thing about that is I'm not sure exactly where everybody lives.
No, I don't even know where everybody else lives either. So they don't come into the studios. They're never here, right? They do it remotely. These guys, Shay and everybody else that does a podcast remotely.
I think we had obviously some restrictions because it's going to be a busy night at the bar. You know, it's the night before St. Patrick's Day, so I think the limit was going to be around 35 people. So there were some people in my family I didn't even invite because, you know, you can't just invite everybody. You can't. There's only a limit. I think the limit is around 30, 35 people.
And we're telling everybody right now, yeah, you weren't invited. So some of these people from your family aren't even going to be there. But I am. I guess I'm that good of a friend to you now.
You don't have to come. You could have said no.
I should have at this point. I'm regretting it big time. Yeah. But we'll have fun.
We'll have a good time with it, Vito. This podcast is going to be great. We got a good episode. A lot of things happening, man. A lot of people are freaking out online. Oh, man. Some interesting things in the world of shadiness. Some famous people got arrested for really an interesting scam. I can't believe that. You know, I don't think about scams in that way, in that, you know, you could use money, use your power and wealth to scam the system, but it happens. And some big people, some actresses that are well known, got arrested earlier this week for a scam that'll blow your mind. We'll talk about that. We got a big interview. Flagstar Bank, a bank that we do business with here on the network, they announced that they've partnered with Blake Griffin, and the director of marketing and communications, Matt Allen, will come on, and he's going to share insights into how did Flagstar come to work with the Pistons, how did they develop this relationship with Blake Griffin, and they got some great insights and things like that. And it's really fascinating in that Flagstar has been working in the community, and they're working with the Pistons and Blake Griffin, so I look forward to talking to Matt Allen in just a few minutes. But to kick this podcast off, I definitely want to get your sense regarding Alex Trebek. Sad news, a man that we've all watched and a man that's been a staple in terms of the game show world. And unfortunately, it was announced that he's been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. His video was touching. I don't know, did you get a chance to see it? I'm really sad because there's only a 9% survival rate with that cancer. So hearing that news was really disappointed.
It was tough to hear. It really was. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer, meaning the likelihood of survival from that, Doc, is very limited. You're right. So it's fearsome for all of his fans out there, for him and his family, and he's still trucking along hosting all these Jeopardy shows. It's like he could care less. And we had a great guest on Tigers Talk who was all about perseverance and trucking along despite disability and whatnot and hardships in life. And Dave Stevens on Tigers Talk, he was terrific. And Trebek is that kind of model for trucking along and perseverance as well with what he's dealing with now, a significant hardship and illness in stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Got to give him a lot of credit for still maintaining a positive attitude, and some people have gone so far as saying he's the Walter Cronkite of today, meaning he has that much of a presence on air Monday through Friday with his show, Jeopardy!
I like the fact that he interjected some humor saying that I have to beat this because I'm contractually obligated to be here for the next 3 years, and he still looks good at his age.
Yeah, still a positive attitude, like you said, a mentality, and that is so key to have, right? When you're dealing with cancer, any disease, to keep that positive mentality, which is so darn tough to do. Like you and I don't even know if we could do it, Doc. We complain all the time about stuff regarding the podcast or this or that with our families, and he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He knows his days on Earth, Doc, are more than likely numbered. And he's still maintaining this positive energy and a sense of humor that is astounding to me.
Where does he rank in your mind in terms of hosting a game show because Jeopardy is a staple. I mean, a lot of people across the board, nationally, internationally, know this man, and it's just fascinating in that the game, the game of Jeopardy is just so well known. It's just a game that people play. It's a game that's tough, if you're not that wise, but I love the way that you have to answer in the form of a question, the way you have to bet your money, and you have to kind of wager depending on what you know, and it's just a great game. I don't watch it too much these days.
Because you're not smart enough to watch it, to compete?
Between the hours of 7 and 8, I'm just busy. We do podcast recording with the kids or out and about, so that's date night time too. So that 7:30 slot, if it was on like a Saturday at like 2, Saturday afternoon, I might peek into it, but I just don't watch Jeopardy too much. You watch it?
So you've given up on Jeopardy.
Given up.
You can't compete, that's why.
You know what my game show was?
What is it for you?
My game show, Mount Rushmore, is Family Feud. I love that.
Yeah, I like that, and because of Steve Harvey now. You probably don't even watch the Steve Harvey edition, do you?
I watched
You don't
it.
make time for it now.
No, unfortunately, I watched it with the host who committed suicide, and I think his name is Ray Combs.
Okay.
And I watched it then, and there's been a lot of
Way
people
back in the
since
day,
then.
you're really dating yourself now. I
Yeah.
can see you're 40 and I'm not.
Exactly. So I watched it with Ray Combs. After that, not really. Steve Harvey makes it funny, but I didn't really watch it with Anderson, I think his name was. I didn't watch it with him, and then the other host, I just don't find him that funny. So it's a great game show. I have the video game. It's a fun game, fun platform, but for me, that's my game show is Family Feud.
For me, it is number one, too, because I watched Steve Harvey. His rendition of Family Feud, and I love him, man. His charisma, his personality, his mannerisms. He's terrific on that show. And he reinvigorated that show. He put new life, breathed new life into Family Feud because I think it was failing. In the ratings, raising revenue, it just wasn't, period. And Steve Harvey, ever since he came on board, man, that show has taken off. And it's a ratings bonanza. They have Celebrity Family Feud now. So he's number one for me with Family Feud. Number two is Alex Trebek with Jeopardy, who has hosted the show for what? 40 years? Upwards of 40 years now? I mean, crazy. A crazy amount of years like that, Doc.
Is it tacky? Do you want to audition?
Should I?
You know what? I don't know.
Could I do it? I'm not smart enough. You and I both. I know you're not. I'm not either, though. I got to throw that out there, unfortunately, for my sake.
Well, maybe wait till...
He's a smart dude. Like, he knows everything. He covers so many different topics, too.
You could have a 40-year run, if you're smart and wise. Maybe we'll make an audition
Cute, sexy, shortest dude to ever host a game show. I probably would make history with that.
We'll be classy. We'll wait until maybe, he's in the good graces of heaven. And
I can't believe you're even bringing this up about my man.
I think...
Poor man, just dragging
he's had a great
name
life.
through
He's
the
rich.
mud.
But if he's in heaven, you know what? So, job opening.
Heaven?
Job opening.
Heaven? Hey, let's hope you turn 40, have a nice 40th birthday celebration and nobody, dies from that tonight, okay? And nothing goes wrong at least. So, let's leave it at that, huh, Doc?
Props to Alex Trebek, and obviously from the network, we pray for his recovery. On the phone line with us is Matt Allen. He's the Director of Marketing and Communications for Flagstar Bank. Now, real interesting in that I've been doing business as well as the Detroit Sports Podcast Network with Flagstar for the better part of 4 years. All my personal checking and business accounts are with Flagstar. So when the opportunity came, when I learned that Flagstar had partnered with the Pistons and most recently partnered with Blake Griffin, real interesting opportunity to talk to Matt and the crew there at Flagstar. We welcome in Matt Allen from Flagstar. Matt, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having us today.
Yeah, it's real great. I'm interested, and our listeners are going to be interested to know, when did Flagstar's sponsorship with the Pistons start, and how did that come to be?
Oh, so we've been partners with the Pistons for just over 2 years now. We've had a number of different sponsorship relationships with them, but interestingly enough, we were talking to them about a significant sponsorship involving the old Palace right before they moved downtown, and so obviously that couldn't happen. And so we started looking at the really interesting jersey patch deal, and we've been the jersey patch sponsor since the jersey patch opportunity came out. And we love it. It's a great way for us to highlight our brand and to help support a local team that means so much to us and that we're all hoping is on the turnaround and is bringing back some of the great legacy stuff that we all remember from the Bad Boys.
How did the deal come together to now work with Blake Griffin, as it was announced that Flagstar is also in partnership for the next year with the Pistons superstar Blake Griffin?
It's a great question. So we, as I said, we're actively working that partnership with the Pistons, and we're always paying attention to what they have. And the better they do, the higher the value of our sponsorship, and the more folks get engaged with that team. And so as Blake came, he became, for the team at that time, since we were in the sponsorship deal, really the kind of franchise standout player. We love his skill level. We love his intensity. We love the kind of dedication to the craft that he brings. And we see that as a reflection of the same way we like to approach crafting solutions for our customers. So as we saw that happening, we thought, wow, there's a chance where this had been a team of really team players. Having that franchise player added was a chance for us to take our involvement to the next level. And we started talking to him, I guess at the end of third quarter of last year, and I guess inked the deal pretty quickly in 90 days or so, where Blake was great to work with, was excited for the partnership, and we spent the time from the end of the year until just recently here getting the TV, social, and print stuff ready to go and roll out.
So what does Flagstar hope to accomplish in the next year in working with Blake Griffin?
Great question. I mean, so the big thing for us is Flagstar. It's still, for too many folks in our core market area, we're the best little bank you never heard about. We're not that little, and we're big enough to take care of both individual and business and commercial needs, as you just alluded to, right? You as a happy customer and Blake as a happy customer are our best kind of spokespeople. So our biggest objective with both the Blake involvement and the Pistons involvement is to up the game of our brand. Our brand exposure needs to be higher. We need more people to know who we are and that we're a really customer-focused bank with extensive product and depth for them to make use of. Specifically for Blake, we have great activations to help sell folks into the really cool Pistons debit and credit cards that we have, and some of the really cool discount offers that we have specifically around mortgages as tied to being the official bank and mortgage company of the Pistons.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious in that, a lot of people these days definitely don't utilize the banks as much with direct deposits, with so many ATMs. My business is great in that I get, compensated for my work at all different times. So I'm constantly stopping in the bank, and people say I'm a little bit old school in that I like to have a relationship with my teller. And the one thing that I love about Flagstar is, after going in there now for the better part of 2 years in a couple of locations in Macomb and here in Sterling Heights, they now know my name. And when I walk in there, I can have friendly conversations, and I really appreciate that. And that's something, like I said, if you want to call it old school, for me is what I wanted, is that, hey, these are people that know my accounts, they know my business, and they're friendly. And now at each branch that I've gone to in this Metro Detroit area in Macomb County, they know my name, and they've taken the time to get to know me and my business. They ask about how things are going with the practice and with the podcast. And so working with Flagstar, like I said, has been really awesome. That's why I have all my business there, and that's why I transferred it from another branch to another company to Flagstar.
That's great to hear, because that's exactly the value proposition that we want to push out to our customers. That whole taking the time to get to know you, knowing your name. When I first joined Flagstar a little over 3.5 years ago, people told me that, and people think it's a cliche. You go spend some time in our branches, and those tellers and those bankers, we don't have many tellers. Most of our folks are highly skilled bankers that can do an awful lot more than just take care of you in a teller line. They're greeting almost all the folks that come in the door by their name, because they've built that relationship, not just because they want to get to know you, but they also want to make sure whatever we're doing for you is fit to serve exactly your needs. So that's a really key thing, and I'm glad to hear you echoing that back to us. So what you're articulating is exactly the value prop that we try to get to market, and that really differentiates us in the branches. Our challenge is to replicate that across all channels. As you mentioned, fewer and fewer people are going to the branches. We want to give you a great branch experience whenever you need to be in the branch, but that same kind of personalized, customized fit we are working hard to deliver through any channel, whether that be over the phone or through our online tools.
Now, a lot of people are going to want to know, fans of the Pistons, is there something in it for the fans, maybe at LCA, or opportunities at the branches for fans of Blake Griffin and the Pistons?
Great question. And the answer is an absolute yes. So on our debit card, on our credit card, there is merchandise, there are tickets, there are raffles and giveaways for the active owners and users of those cards and products. You can find out all about those at flagstar.com or in the product info itself. We also, at LCA, will be doing some activations. So during the games, not every game, but during select games, there will be a money machine where you climb in the booth and you're able to grab as much cash as you can. Or B, there's a really cool video screen engagement where you stand next to a life-size digital image of Blake. You can compare your hand span to his height to yours, his wingspan to yours, his vertical to yours, his shoe size to yours. It's pretty amazing when you're putting your hand up against his hand. It's easy to see how he can palm that basketball and make it look so effortless.
We have the opportunity to be talking to the Chief Marketing Officer of Flagstar Bank, Matt Allen. Now, one interesting note in the partnership is that Blake agreed to become a customer of Flagstar. How did that come to be, and what are you guys hoping to discuss in terms of his utilizing the bank, Flagstar?
Well, I'm not at liberty to talk about anybody's individual product ownerships, but Blake's the kind of guy that takes all of his engagements and partnerships really seriously, and he wanted to be a customer if he was going to be a spokesperson. And so engaging with us, he didn't want to go halfway. Just like everything else, I think the intensity you see him bring to the court that's made such a difference for us. And I mean, setting the franchise record for scoring in January, that kind of intensity and all-in attitude was, he pretty quickly said to us, if we're going to do this, I want to really do this. And he's on his way to being a Flagstar customer right now.
So let our audience know, a large audience across Metro Detroit. I got Vito here. He's obviously a great customer of Flagstar as well. I'm interested, for those that are not working with Flagstar, what opportunities does Flagstar Bank have for customers to utilize your bank service?
Oh, that's a great question. So any banking need that you can imagine as an individual consumer, we're going to have a solution for you. And I say a solution, not a product, because as you mentioned, John, you did such a great job of articulating our value proposition. When you come in, we're not going to try to sell you a product. We're going to mine to figure out what's the issue or problem you're looking to solve. We have a really extensive product set across both personal, business, and commercial products. And anything that your big national banks can do, we can do for you. And it's a great product set that is specifically tailored to fit just what you're looking for. The differentiating factor that you asked about is the bankers. It's the folks who are in your community, who greet you by name, who build that relationship and are going to proactively be looking out for you, not the kind of gotcha fees on the back end, but more the personalized service and the assurance of fit to say, this isn't the product that was on my cross-sell list for this month. This is what I think is going to fit you based on the needs you just described and what you're looking to accomplish.
So if someone's listening and they want to go seek more information regarding Flagstar, where can they go? What's the best spot for someone to look at and seek more information regarding a great bank, Flagstar?
I would say Flagstar.com is the place that you can go find out about the product sets, but more importantly, look at our branch locations. You're going to find one right around the corner from wherever you are in the listening area, and the bankers there are ready to go. If you don't see one close by, give us a call at our 800 number, and we'd be happy to hook you up and talk you through what options you have.
Matt Allen's been kind enough to give us a few minutes. I've greatly enjoyed the conversation. Keep up the great work. I really appreciate you guys reaching out and having an opportunity to talk to you more about Flagstar. And best of luck and continued success. And we hope to see and hear about more great things with the partnership with the Pistons and now newly the partnership with Blake Griffin.
Thanks for the opportunity. Have a great day.
Well, Vito, sometimes it's a small world. A fellow Spartan, Matt Allen, Chief Marketing Officer of Flagstar. Real interesting situation being that I'm a customer of Flagstar and had opportunity to learn more about how these partnerships work. Interesting stuff.
He's a fellow Spartan. Really cool stuff. Now to not so cool stuff in the latest regarding R. Kelly. And specifically, when I'm mentioning R. Kelly, I want to bring up his interview with Gayle King from CBS This Morning a week ago, Doc. And it went ablazing. Flames went up in the air from this interview because R. Kelly, man, was belligerent, was rude to Gayle King, and Gayle King stood in there, sat in her seat all throughout the interview, even as R. Kelly was providing disparaging remarks in direction of Gayle King and was berating her and her producers and cameramen, and it was ugly. But throughout all of it, Doc, what was so impressive to me was the way in which Gayle King kept her composure. It was perfect composure all the way throughout from Gayle King. And that was so mightily impressive to me that she did not lose her cool whatsoever when you know she could have easily lost her cool and went after R. Kelly. She chose not to make it more ugly than it was, and chose not to get into a confrontation / argument with R. Kelly, who she kept calling Robert to try to calm R. Kelly down. Didn't work because R. Kelly kept shouting to her producers once again, to her, to the cameramen, about how tough it's been for him, and he was playing the victim card, trying to make people feel bad for him. And as an audience member or a consumer of that interview, Doc, I'm thinking the whole entire way throughout, and throughout what I saw on Twitter as well from that interview, Doc, that I have no sympathy whatsoever for R. Kelly.
Now, Vito, you're not going to hear this anywhere else, okay? People are calculated, okay? Did you see the manner in which he was acting? Now, people will look at that on the surface and go, oh, this guy's crazy. Oh, this guy is putting on a show. What's wrong with him? You know what he was doing? Here's what he was doing, okay? Remember, R. Kelly has been dealing with this for the better part of a couple decades now. And so what he was doing was he was looking to the camera and he was playing to potential jurors.
He was pleading to them his case,
yes,
right?
Yes, he was pleading his case.
And it was sad, though.
No, what he was doing was he believes that by talking his way, by, playing the victim, that he could appeal to those that love stars. Remember, we just had a conversation about Leaving Neverland, right? We talked about Michael Jackson, and there are people now that are shaming the people that were making the accusations, right? People have an affinity for stars. People have a support. Vito, there's a video, allegedly, because obviously I don't watch it. I've never seen it. I've never searched it out. There are videos of R. Kelly doing his thing, and allegedly, and people still support him. So he does, in his mind, currently sits there and believes that there's an opportunity to get out of these allegations. Because he's been doing this now for well over 20 years. And after a court trial, he went back and did similar type actions, allegedly. So R. Kelly was calculated. Now, was it proper to interview him? Obviously, it's going to get attention. Obviously, he created clips for them. But in my mind, I do not give this kind of stuff a platform, but we're talking about it too. Because
so we are, though, subsequently.
We have to, but in the end, I find it that, you know what, I just think that the investigation needs to take place again, and it really lends to really asking the question, why wasn't this looked at back then? How was this able to, if the evidence was so overwhelming, how did he get out of it? Because at this point in time, he's been acquitted.
It's sad to see what has happened. And then he walked out of a county jail in, let's see, where was the county jail located in? Cook County Jail in Chicago, perhaps, after paying more than $160,000 in overdue child support. And supposedly, from what I had heard, it was an anonymous person that bailed him out, that paid for his child support to get him out of this county jail. So R. Kelly has a lot coming his way, and it will be harsh for him to hear, but he will hear it rightfully so, because he kept these women captive as well in his home for years and years without any kind of repercussions and consequences from the law, big time. And now he's going to get some big time consequences and stuff handed out legal-wise. And it's going to be bad for him, damaging to his name and to his career, which it's already been tarnished. And it's going to hurt him forever, because he's going to be behind bars for a long, long time, and deservingly so, once again.
Do you think CBS should give him that platform?
I think so, because it was newsworthy. They had the right to interview him. Now, they didn't know he was going to react that way. So I say, why not interview him? You didn't know he was going to react that way. And the guy has a right to see, as much as you have the right to interview that guy to get his side of the story, he has a right to react that way and to act the fool, right? He did. He acted foolish. And to me, when I view what he did, it made him look even more guilty to me.
Yeah, I just think that times are tough. But did you hear the story? I think someone put up the first $100,000 to get him out.
To help him out with the child support for that overdue, once again, for that overdue child support that he had to pay. He owed $160,000 in overdue child support. This guy has been a criminal for a long time. Now, with what he's done to these women, allegedly, and underage women, so it's a crime right there, and they're not paying these child support payments as well. Well, all of this added up, it makes R. Kelly look even more foolish and guilty. And from my standpoint, he's a guilty man that is trying so hard to act like the victim and to play the victim card. And it's not working for me, Doc. And I don't think it's worked or is working for a lot of people as he has played this victim card. And I think, once again, he's made himself even look more foolish throughout all of this as he has played that victim card.
How do you see this playing out? Because it's real fascinating in that people still like R. Kelly. They still believe that he's getting railroaded. He still has 2 girlfriends. Did you see the interview, the portion?
It's crazy how they defended him.
Yeah, and it's just, did you get a chance to see Surviving R. Kelly? I watched the entire thing, and it was tough. It was tough because it really hit home the notion, the allegation that he separates people from their family. And it hit home to me. It was tough.
Well, these are young girls. You have 2 young daughters. Would you want that to happen to your young daughters?
Exactly.
Right? And
so, obviously, with the whole situation in terms of trafficking, you just, like I've said in previous podcasts, I'm not going to fully, find R. Kelly guilty until he's found guilty and the whole trial takes place. But everything that you read really paints him as a predator. And here's the part that the movie and the documentary Surviving R. Kelly really hit home. He was a victim of abuse. So for me, it really hits home and raises the alarms that, this is a guy that's a victim and he's reacting and reoffending because of the fact that he was abused. And so I just feel bad because the one thing, if you were to tell me what's a big regret that you have, my biggest regret in terms of the work that I do in the psychology field is that there are people that need help that should be steered in the direction of getting mental health counseling that never do. And you see stuff like this, those that potentially reoffend because they've been abused, never get the proper help. I mean, if you get exposed to pornography at 8, 9, 10 years old, it'll mess you up. And there's an increased likelihood that you will go on to become a predator. It's just the way it is. And it can be stopped. It can be, you can learn healthy coping skills. You can adapt and find new, better ways to deal with women and deal with people in society if you get counseling, if it's found out soon enough. And if you can get mental health counseling. So that's one of my big regrets is that still to this day, a lot of people who need help don't get it. And it's one frustrating notion for this field is that as much advocacy as we do, there's still this stigma of, hey, I don't want to knock on the door and come into your office for the first time. I don't know what it's like. And like I said, that's why I champion the position. If you need mental health counseling, there's always some nuggets on our platform that, hey, it's important to get mental health counseling if you need it. And it's also important to be physically fit, emotionally fit, and mentally fit. Mental health counseling is important. And so in a situation with R. Kelly, I just see a victim that unfortunately never got the help, and he became somebody that was really maladaptive in how he handled relationships.
Does it make him a sympathetic figure, though, all of a sudden?
No.
Because it shouldn't. Kind of what you're saying, but I don't want to go down this ugly road of now being sorry for R. Kelly and giving into what he wants us to give into, which is him playing up that victim card, when truly, okay, maybe not mentally sane throughout his life and because he was abused himself as a child. So
Vito,
it set himself up for failure and to maybe be a predator to some degree. But still, I have to say, I don't want to use that as an excuse for him and his actions of being a predator.
This. Yeah, think about this. You can also feel sorry for someone and still find their behavior to be abhorrent. Obviously, he, didn't get the necessary help. He didn't go down that road. And unfortunately, he became a predator, allegedly. And that's where we're at with this. But R. Kelly, we just hope that if he does get found guilty, that if he does go to jail, that he does get some sort of rehabilitation and understand at some point that, hey, what you're doing is a problem if the evidence shows that he was guilty.
And we might just find out down the line that he just likes it. Obviously, to me, he still does. Even though he might not be mentally sane, has had these mental health issues, and you want to get him mentally righted and you want him to be rehabilitated. But to me, Doc, I mean, how much can a guy like this, at his age, be rehabilitated to after all these years of being a sexual predator as well? I don't think there's much hope for him being rehabilitated.
That's the $1 million question. That's the question that skeptics will have, is that how can a guy like R. Kelly be rehabilitated? But a psychologist will always think that at any point in time, if you get the proper channels, if you get the proper help, you will stop doing the things that are maladaptive if you commit to it for many years. He's going to need 5, 6, 7 years of intense counseling to even start the process of getting help. It's just frustrating. The whole scenario, that whole story, and looking at it obviously appealed to me. And when I look at it, I just get a little bit frustrated in terms of looking at that whole storyline.
Legally speaking, he's in trouble more than likely for a long, long time. And it sounds like he deserves to be behind bars for a long, long time. Now, moving on from that subject to something that broke before we went on the air this week, Doc. And it's regarding actresses Felicity Huffman and Loughlin being among those charged nationwide in college admissions cheating scam. So how much can those two individuals be rehabilitated if it is true that they were involved in this college admissions cheating scam that scammed how many people? I don't even have the numbers in front of me for how many people they scammed, but this sounds like almost like a President Trump thing where he had that fake university, duped all these people, received all these people's money, and they weren't getting anything out of it. They weren't getting a true college education. Now you have these two individuals who used, it looks like, their celebrity status.
No, from my understanding, there was a company set up that Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman gave money to so that they could get preferential treatment.
Yeah,
without
so they got involved
earning...
with it. Still, through their involvement, they were in the wrong, though.
Oh, no, 100%.
Yeah, they were involved in this scam.
Yeah, there's two people that are wrong. Obviously, the people that set this up where the scammers, what they did was they would misrepresent these famous people's kids as athletes or misrepresent them so that they could get into high elite level schools that maybe based on merit would not have happened. So in essence, Vito, it really speaks to the worst part of society, which is this. And I'm not surprised by it really at all. So when I saw it, I'm just like, wow, I'm surprised by those that were involved in it, obviously, but I'm not surprised in that people with wealth sometimes will try and buy their way into stuff or out of stuff, whether it be legal problems, whether it be, hey, it starts at the very notion, as you youngsters in their 20s know, is, hey, and I'll teach you something here. Vito, if you were to walk into Fontainebleau with $500 and you tipped the maitre d', the bouncer there, you would sit right in front with a nice booth and you'd have a really fun time. Straight bottle service, baby. You'd have the opportunity to have a good time. Cash is king. It starts there with that notion psychologically that, hey, the more money that I spend, the more that I can do and the more that I can influence. And that's where, I don't know, back in the day, there were these great shows where it would be like, hey, if I give you $500, will you eat dog crap off the floor and stuff like that? It really is the notion that money has influence. Money
is king, right?
And some people are willing to bend the rules for money. And, you realize, and, I have to give myself credit. I've never engaged in this kind of behavior.
Good for you, Doc.
Medicaid fraud is one of the most egregious things that takes place in the medical field, where people actually set up services and make fake claims. And it's like billions of dollars of things are wasted because people fraudulently do stuff. And what's the issue? Money. In the end, money does play a part in people's decisions, myself included. It plays a part. But would I ever try and, have my daughters go to an elite level school and pay $500K? No, because I believe.
But you wouldn't have the money anyways to make that transaction happen.
Yeah, but if I did,
you wouldn't be doing it. You wouldn't be
I believe in merit.
Influenced to do it if you knew your daughters could get into Stanford or an Ivy League school.
Exactly. No.
Okay. Good for you. You have some morals and values. I didn't think you actually did, but maybe because you're 40, you're turning a new leaf in your life, and now you're a new man to some degree, at least, right?
Exactly. And so you look at it and you go, I'm not surprised by it, but I just think that in this day and age, probably they just believe they wouldn't get caught. And it really is bad for the daughters because they have to question themselves now, like, hey, did I really deserve this? Or
right? It's based on merit or no, or my mom's influence, my parents' influence, and their affluence, right? More of their affluence and their money. So it's sad to say this has occurred. And now really quick, not to interrupt here, Doc, but among 50 wealthy people charged in what is deemed, Doc, as the largest college cheating scam ever prosecuted by the U.S. Department of Justice. And those indicted in the investigation, which is being dubbed as Varsity Blues, allegedly paid bribes of up to $6 million to get their children into elite schools, such as Yale, Stanford, Georgetown, and the University of Southern California.
It's elaborate, huh?
Big news. And a lot of people, a lot of wealthy individuals are involved in this scam. Now, really quick, before we round out and wrap up this week's episode of Two Bad Hombres, Doc, did you see earlier in the week Russell Westbrook having a dust-up verbally with a fan in Utah and using expletives and threatening the fan to beat him and his wife up? He was in the wrong there. I know there were some racial expletives and whatnot and just epithets and just racial slurs thrown in the direction of Russell Westbrook. But still, it doesn't make it right for Westbrook to respond in the manner that he did when he is a guy that is in the public limelight. He is a prominent figure with a prominent status and platform as an NBA superstar. So him responding in the manner that he did, I do not like whatsoever, despite the fact that I know there were those racial slurs directed in the way of Russell Westbrook.
Vito, both parties are in the wrong.
Yeah.
It's really tough in that now people are going to question, what should the rules be for fans that attend games? This is coming on the heels of James Dolan kicking out somebody for yelling at him, the Knicks owner who's much maligned and, very much in the crosshairs because people don't like the fact that the way he's running the Knicks. And so it just came down. I just got the alert on my phone.
What's the latest?
Here's the news, okay? And I think this is what needed to happen. The Utah Jazz have permanently decided that this fan that caused and instigated this, he's permanently banned from the Jazz. He can't go to games anymore.
Hit the road, Jack. And don't come back.
Ban. I totally agree. This sends the message, hey, if you're going to use racial slurs, if you're going to intentionally provoke a professional athlete, then there's a scenario in which you're not going to be allowed. Let me read the statement. This is the statement from the Utah Jazz dated March 12, 2019. The Utah Jazz and Larry H. Miller Group announced on Tuesday a permanent ban of the fan who engaged in the inappropriate interaction with the Oklahoma City Thunder's Russell Westbrook that took place at the Vivint Smart Home Arena. The ban is effective immediately and includes all arena events. The Utah Jazz, going down a little further, the Utah Jazz will not tolerate fans who act inappropriately. There is no place in our game for personal attacks or disrespect. I totally agree. This is how you send the message. I'm 100% in agreement. They did their due diligence. They looked at it and they said, hey, if one of our athletes doesn't feel safe, and Russell Westbrook really hit it home that, hey, every time I come here, it's like this. I'm hearing these nasty comments and I'm hearing this stuff that I don't like. I'm not down for it. So I think it's a situation in which this is what needs to take place in order to cause fans to realize, hey, if you act a certain way, there's certain consequences, and that's how it should be. I applaud the Jazz, and I think it'll send the message. Don't act a fool. Look, be in control. Look, you can scream at the refs, you can kind of question calls, but no personal attacks. And also be mindful there's kids around, Yeah,
what if you had your daughters there?
Exactly.
And you're hearing all of this BS spewed from this fan in the stands.
Exactly.
Who, you know what? If you're going to go there and just dog these players all game long, why are you even there in the first place? You shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be going to games then. And I'm glad, too, that he's been banned from attending Utah Jazz games because that should have happened. Yep. I agree totally with it as you do, Doc, that he was in the wrong. And as a fan, you go to the game to watch the game and to enjoy the game and the players that are there on the floor. So you want to enjoy the excellence and the beautiful athleticism and ability of Russell Westbrook and other superstars like Russell Westbrook. So you go there and you dog this guy because of what? Because of no good reason. And that guy is one of those guys that you can deem as the scum of the earth. Anybody that is willing to go that far to dog and to throw racial slurs out there against an individual who is just being a professional athlete and is out there making a living for himself. That's his way of making a living. And you're going to go at him like that? What if Westbrook or somebody else would have done that to you, right, in your place of work? I bet that guy would not have liked it if the roles were reversed. So, not saying I want to see that happen to him, but it's just horrible what he did, and he deserved the punishment that he did receive.
100%, Vito. I agree, and I think they acted swiftly. And at the same time, when you look at the actions of Russell Westbrook, I understand you can justify what he said because obviously he heard the most vile things. But here's the tough part. Is you have to try your absolute best. If you're an athlete listening to this, you got to try your absolute best to be above it. And I think the alternative, if you were to suggest to Russell Westbrook a different way of handling it, is look, you hear things, you point out the individual, and you go right to security, and you say, hey, this is an individual that's being very vile. And from what I was reading, he was the individual that got banned. He was warned 5 times, to stop it.
You hit the road then.
I think, for the most part, arenas are fair. I hear some vile stuff. I hear some nasty things. And I do think, and it's a safe assumption, that these arenas give you a warning. It's like, hey, settle down, chill out. They're not trying to, wrestle you and get you out of the arena, but they're also trying to prevent, a situation similar to Malice at the Palace. They don't want that. So I just think everybody needs to cool down, take it easy on the beer, and really go out there and have a good time and really cheer as hard as you can. Maybe, you moan and groan about a call here and there, but no personal attacks, no calling anybody out their name, and obviously no sexual innuendos and telling these athletes what you want them to do to you and being disrespectful. Because I do think that permanent bans, obviously, doesn't that ban kind of give you pause, go, whoa, if I act that way, this fan now can never go support the Jazz again, never go to a concert at that arena, never go to a wrestling event.
But you know what? Why would the Jazz want him there anyways? As a fan? You don't want that guy there as a fan because he's doing that to the opposition. Because you wouldn't want anybody in the stands doing that to your own team.
But see, at the same time, the question that some people have also asked is, let's say, for example, he commits to a year or two of anger management and acknowledges and personally apologizes to Russell Westbrook, apologizes to the league, apologizes to the Utah Jazz. Is there an avenue for him to get back? And that's what I would advocate for, is like, look, yes, you should be banned, but I would have done it for like 3 years. You got a ban of 3 years. If in 3 years you do these couple things and you consider yourself, working on yourself and bettering yourself, we'll consider through an appeals board the opportunity for you to come back, because it's 1,000 days and you'll have opportunity. Hey, if you do anger management, if you're good in the community and you represent that, hey, you can grow. I always believe in that people, make mistakes. We're all flawed. We all do stuff at times where you go, man, that was stupid. Why did you do that? Why didn't you ask further questions? Why didn't you pay attention to what was going on? We all make mistakes, but if we're going to be this judgmental society, it's going to be tough when that arrow gets pointed at you. And, if you're not doing exactly everything on the up and up, then sometimes you're going to want to really wish that people will forgive and move forward. And I believe in that, yeah, there should be a punishment. Yes, 100%, 1,000 days, 3 years. You cannot walk into this arena. But in 3 years, if you show that you've done a complete 180, complete 360, and you're a different person, welcome back.
But John, really quick, I view it like this. Now, I think as a fan, it's a luxury to go to sporting events. It's a luxury to do so. It's not like you have to have that right or privilege. And guess what? You can be a fan and spectate from home, from the warm confines of your own home on a couch in your house, and watch the game there and drink a beer by yourself or with your buddies and watch the game. So you know what? This guy and other individuals too that get banned from arenas, they still have that opportunity to watch the games from afar and be a fan from home. So, it's not like the Jazz are restricting him from watching the game still. Still has the access through his TV, his mobile device, through his tablet to watch every single Utah Jazz game. So for me, once again, to sum it all up, I really don't feel bad for this guy. I don't think there is any rehabilitation for this guy or the entry for him to be allowed back at Utah Jazz games, because you know what? You did what you did. Watching games, going to games as spectators is a luxury, in my opinion, and you still can watch the game at the end of the day at home.
Vito rules with an iron fist.
Yes, I am in this situation. Sorry, but not sorry. As Demi Lovato has said so famously in one of her great songs that I tune into. I know you don't probably, though, Doc.
You can follow Vito, a great follow on Twitter, at Vito Jerome. Follow the show at Two Bad Hombres. You can follow the network at Detroit Podcast. If you've agreed or disagreed with anything that we've said, if anything that you've heard really riles you up, feel free, leave a voicemail, 248-579-8686. I enjoyed the conversation, Vito. I look forward to recording with you next weekend, and let's have a good time tonight, Vito.
And Doc, really quick, big shout out to you. Great interview with Matt Allen, the Chief Marketing Officer from Flagstar Bank. And let's have fun tonight, like you said. Adios.